Assalamu alaikum. It has always been difficult if we read history for a small, tiny state to challenge mighty empire. Imagine a tiny, state under the Mughal challenging the Mughal emperor, or a vassal state somewhere in Central Asia challenging the mighty Mongol, or some city state under the Romans, or some tiny areas under the Romans challenging Constantine or any other, great Roman emperor. The same thing could be said about Alexander the Great. We cannot imagine um, any tiny city state in Greece challenging the mighty army or controlling the mighty army of Alexander the Great, or uh, any vassal state under Cyrus, um, controlling or dictating Cyrus the Great. The same could be said about Portuguese or the Spaniards. One cannot imagine a tiny Latin American country or a region dictating to Isabella, Ferdinand, or the rulers after them, or some tiny African states dictating policies in Lisbon. That is not possible. And we could also say the same thing perhaps about the French and the British, who control more than one third of world together, or maybe half of the world, right? Or Western colonial powers who controlled around 86% of the world during the decade of 1940s. It's not possible for a tiny state in Asia to control the policies of London or that of Indochina, or Middle East or Africa, to formulate policies or greatly influence them in Paris or Brussels or anywhere else. But the case of Israel is very interesting. It's a tiny state, and its inhabitants are not numerically, greater than many other nations. Even then, Israel is accused of controlling global empires: the UK, Germany, Belgium, the US, France, all the global powers. They seem to be protecting the Zionist state in a way. Some people might go to the extent of accusing, towing the policies of Israel. They cannot summon enough courage to condemn the brutalities or atrocities committed during the Gaza war. But this was not the first time. Even we witnessed three Arab-Israel war, and we notice where did the sympathy of the world lie during that time. And this has sparked, or rather, this has always sparked uh, debates, as well as it has also paved the way for conspiracy theories, with some writers coming uh, with conspiracy theories that this is like a sort of international lobby that is seeking global domination. So some critics argue that since the Jews, as compared to other minorities, they have a lot of wealth and they have a lot of money. Large companies are owned by them, so they exert their influence through those companies. But there are other critics who believe that 10 most richest out of 10 most richest families in the world, the three are from Middle East, from Muslim country, Saudi Arabia, Muttahida Arab Amarat, and Qatar. The three families out of 10. And of course, there are a number of Christian rich families. It cannot be said that all the rich are Jews. Some, at least one of the richest guys in the world is also a sort of self-described or self a self described atheist as well. So, as far as money is concerned, of course, Gulf state or Arab state have a lot of money, I think more money than Israel. And some Israeli thinkers believe that it's the wealth of Saudi Arabia, Muttahida Arab Emirat, and Qatar that is dictating policies in several corners of the world. So they have their own conspiracy theory. So that does not go down well with those are going logically, because Saudi Arabia is perhaps richer than Israel. The same could be said about the wealth of UAE and that of Qatar. So that's not the logic. Then some believe that since Jewish people excelled in business and education, so that's why they are dominating the world. And during First and Second World War, there were certain personalities, at least some of them helped the UK with their own inventions or their own research that facilitated the way for the creation of a Jewish state. And they cite Nobel Prize as a benchmark where Jewish people constitute at least one third of all the Science Nobel Prize awarded every year. And they say that if we look at genius personality all over the world, Jews are overrepresented. There are some historians who believe that traditionally, since Jews were not given many rights, they had to face expulsion from many countries. They were kicked out from the UK, they were kicked out from France, they were attacked during the Crusades in Germany, they were also kicked out from Portugal and Spain, and they faced this, deportation throughout their history. And since they cannot make it to the power corridors of Western capitals or several capitals of the world, they started excelling themselves in business. They had this opportunity to lend money, so they became a money lender. And at the same time, they also excelled in knowledge. And there were Jewish merchant who would speak different languages, and they were a sort of middleman between Islamic world and the Christian world, because of the tension between Christian and Muslim, especially in the aftermath of the crusade. So they could speak more than five languages. This helped them to excel in education and business. That's why you find so many uh, big families, business families like the Rothschild and others who happen to be from this particular community. Uh, but there are others who believe no, education cannot be the sole criterion. If that were the criterion, then Japanese and South Koreans are also very innovative. The Taiwanese also excel. Now Chinese have a lot of innovation. They seem to be even defeating the West. But the sort of influence that Israel wields cannot be compared with any other country. George Galloway and some others, the British MP George Galloway recently revealed that it was because of the intelligence network that Israel is dominating. And he was trying to refer to Jeffrey Epstein, declaring him, uh, again, this is not my view, this is the view of George Galloway, which is publicly available. Some people have also come up this conspiracy theory. So they say they believe, not George Galloway exactly, but some conspiracy theorists believe uh, that Mossad might have left many people, or might have, helped many people like Jeffrey Epstein infiltrate in global lobbies, taking the photos of great personality, the CEOs, the businessmen, journalists, academics, lawyers, expert of jurisprudence, politicians, congressmen, parliamentarians, taking their pictures, making their videos, and blackmailing them. So Jeffrey Epstein, this are as an example, since his He was caught, so people know about him, but there could be many. And they say that, again, they say that Arab countries have uh, a lot of money. Some of Muslim countries are the richest in the world, like Brunei Darul Islam, uh, but they do not have that much influence. So they tend to believe that there could be intelligence operatives of Mossad who might have infiltrated in the lobbies of businessmen, media tycoons, and um, politicians, congressmen, diplomats, and they might have been doing things that perhaps Jeffrey Epstein has done. Against this is allegation, it is unproven, uh, but this is what they have come up with. But there are others who believe that historically people are sympathetic towards Jews and Israel because of the terrible massacre that Jewish people had to face in Germany. There are sympathies with them because historically Jews have been persecuted almost in every part of the world. Ironically, some people tend to forget that Muslim rescued Jews a number of times. So when they were kicked out from parts of Europe, they sought shelter under the Ottomans or Al Andalusia during First and Second World War. Some of the Jews also uh, sought shelter in Muslim countries. So there has been more programs in Christian lands than persecution of Jews in Muslim lands. Um, in some parts of the Muslim world, they coexisted with Muslims and they welcomed even Muslim invasion over the Christian rule because historically Christian considered, or as at least section of Christian considered them responsible for the crucifixion of Christ. Then there were conspiracy theories against them, with one suggesting that they perform ritual killing of kids, and then some famines, sorry, not famines, some um, uh, spread of some virus or disease like the Black Death or plague during the time of Roman time, or after Roman time, sorry, during the Roman time, were blamed on the Jews. And historically, there was sort of animosity between Christian and Jews. The same didn't exist between Muslims and Jews. Of course, there are arguments about the treatment meted out to Jews in Khyber in Saudi Arabia, but by and large, uh, Jews coexisted with Muslims in several parts of Muslim world, collaborating, teaching Muslim, learning from Muslims, translating, especially in the House of Wisdom in Al Andalusia. Some Jews made it to senior position in Islamic world during the Umayyad time and also in Al Andalusia, and they were translators, they were researcher during the Abbasid as well. The same could be said about Jews living in Al Andalusia or other Muslim parts. So these are different views about the influence of the Israeli state, but this is true that if you look at history of different state, you would not find a tiny state influencing not only the policies of the United States, the UK, Germany, Canada, France, a number of countries. Even Israel enjoys very good relations with Russia. Netanyahu personally enjoys very good ties with Putin. So this is remarkable, and this is a topic that needs a lot of research. But as a student of history, I could say that I have not come across any tiny state in Roman Empire, Greek Empire, Mughal Empire, British Empire, French Empire, Portuguese or Spanish Empire controlling, not exactly controlling, but greatly influencing the policies of mighty empires. But this is what many critics would say about the state of Israel.